This webinar is the next webinar in our six-part series of how Alma benefits multitasking librarians. Today we're going to be talking about how you can easily manage acquisitions in Alma. Presenter today is Barbara Radell.
Thank you. So for those of you who've joined our previous sessions, it's quite a while since we met. I've missed you all. I'm glad that we're back together again. And today, as Scott mentioned, we're going to see how we can manage acquisitions in Alma using the Rialto marketplace. So I think your first question might be, what exactly is Rialto? So Rialto has been developed by ProQuest. It is a comprehensive marketplace that enables libraries to acquire content from a variety of publishers and platforms. And these publishers and platforms can be ProQuest and non-ProQuest, obviously. It's a single destination for all content types and multiple vendors. And as such, it simplifies selection and acquisition workflows across various access models and licenses. And we'll see when we look at that each resource that we see in the marketplace is enriched with ProQuest Synthetix Unbound, which incorporates more than a dozen elements such as metadata, information on reviews and awards, book display widgets, and more. Now, it's very important to emphasize a few points. There is no charge for using Rialto. There is no platform fee, no hidden integration or reporting fees, no training fees, and no implementation fees. And Rialto integrates with our Alma software. So let's start and have a look at some workflows online. In my Alma college here, I'm my staff user, Donna White, that some of you might already be familiar with. I have Rialto implemented. And I also have the roles and privileges that allow me to select and acquire materials via Rialto. When I look at my various subject areas on the left-hand side, we can see that I have an area called Market, and this is basically my access to various Rialto functions and workflows. Now, when we configure the roles for managing Rialto, you might have a situation in your institution when the person that is searching the Rialto marketplace and selecting items for purchase, in other words, they have a selector role, they might not also have the role that can actually process the order. So in my environment, I, as Donna White, actually do have the selector role and the roles that allow me to place the order. But I just wanted to point out that in some institutions, you might want to have a separation, and this is possible. So I'm going to start by searching Rialto. How do I do this? Here we have all my indexing options for working in Alma. But if I scroll down, we have an option called Market. And basically, Market means Rialto. So I think one of the very important points that we can see here, and I'm going to be emphasizing this time and time again, I am in Alma, but I'm going to go to another software while I'm in Alma to do various things. So let's start. Let's just imagine I'm sitting at my desk, I'm logged into Alma, and I'm processing requests that I've received from other acquisition staff, from faculty, from students, and so on. And the first item that I'm going to search for that we have been, there's been a request for purchase, is this particular title, I Am Malala. I click on my enter in order to search, and now here I am searching in Rialto. And here we can see results. We are looking at the first 20 of 33, and I'm going to scroll down to see a particular title, which is the one that I wanted. I wanted one where there were various offers. Let's see, I think it's this one. Let's just check. I think, let's have a look and see if it's this one. And it's not the I wanted to show you an example where we would see holdings in the institution. So let me go back. I think here we are. Let's have a look at this first example. Let's see, here we are. This is what I wanted to show you. So let's take a minute and see what we can look on the screen. First of all, we can see that there are various options, CD-ROM, paperback. We can see the different prices. What is most important here is this on the right-hand side. I didn't actually check my Alma catalog before I searched Rialto for this particular item, but Rialto is always going to search my Alma catalog for me, and it's going to tell me, look, I found holdings in your institution. In this particular instance, it found one example, but possibly we have more. We might have a print option and an electronic option, but it's telling me in my example, I have physical material. I have one copy in the library, in the general collection, and so I say, okay, I've seen that. I'm not going to order it because we already have a copy. I think the one copy that we have is sufficient. And so I'm going to make a new search. I'm going to search for the title, The Splendid and the Vile. So we're going to see some results. Here we can see a particular option, the title. We can see that there are various options available. I want to look at all of those. And we can really see some interesting things here on the screen. First of all, it immediately tells me I didn't find anything in your institution that match your search request and what we're looking at right now. We can see results. We can see that we have a very nice cheap paperback, but it hasn't been published yet. So I'm not really interested in that. Let's see, we can actually even see the anticipated publishing date. Very interesting. If I look at other examples, we can see something really, I just like this when I look at it, that obviously this particular paperback is published maybe in the UK, maybe somewhere else, and it is in another currency, and it has done an automatic conversion to my currency. So we can see a few examples here. I'll scroll down, I can see the various examples, but I'm interested in ordering a paperback item. I'm going to look at this, and I want to see more detail about it before I make a final decision. Here we can see our book cover, we can see description, bibliographic details, and here we're seeing some of the things that are coming from Syndetics that I mentioned. We can look inside on a particular chapter, we can look at the full excerpt, we can see reviews, awards. Here we can see something about the author. So really a lot of very, very interesting information that can help me decide, do I want to actually order this for my library? And I've decided I want to. So either from here or from here, I can say that I want to add to cart. Before I add to cart, I just want to point out this little button here, which tells me that I can add to a list. So one of the functions that we're going to look at through this session is that we can manage lists, and I am able to add an item to a list. As I scroll through, I might decide I don't want to order it now, but this is interesting. I'm going to add it to a list and come back to it later. But at the moment, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to click Add to Cart, and now we're going to see something very interesting. It immediately tells me here, this is in your cart. I got a message here and it tells me it's in my cart. And up here, I can see that I have one item in my cart. So let's take a minute to see what we see in my cart. First of all, here is a picture of Donna White. She's the selector. She's ordering for the library. She can select from a template for this order, but we're going to do a manual workflow just so that you can see the parameters. We can see the price, we can see the summary information here. I can look at more details, the details that we looked at previously. And I can see here that Rialto has defaulted the option of quantity to 1. I can obviously add more copies if I want to. And I have 2 mandatory fields that I must fill in order to complete this order. I must say in which location my item is going to be. In the library, I'll choose the general location, and I must choose a fund, and I'm going to choose my print fund. Now let's have a look. Remember, I know it's difficult for you to understand, but I am in Rialto now. But Rialto is telling me this particular fund has a balance of 4,000 and something dollars. And if I look at the information button, it's even telling me that this is the available balance before you actually process your purchase. Then we have additional fields that I can fill in, but these aren't mandatory. But let's have a look at them. I can choose my item policy. Once again, this is coming from Alma. I'll choose a 4-week loan. I can choose reporting codes. We'll look at when we do our next order. But basically, this is a way of adding additional information to my acquisition order, which allows me to get statistics and analytic reports on different slices and dices, as I call them, related to my acquisitions item. Then I can check anything about, do I need physical processing? Is it a rush order? Do I need a spine label, etc.? I can add a note. And then I have something else very interesting that we have in Alma. I can add an interested user. What is an interested user? It is somebody has requested interest in this particular item. Let's have a look at the options. So first of all, I want to add an interested user. I'm going to add my patron, Gareth Roberts. Here we are, Rialto is bringing me my patron and I'm choosing it. And then we can see a little picture of Gareth. And then I can choose, do I want to place a hold, or did Gareth ask me to place a hold for him, or just notify him when the item is received? And Gareth said that he wanted a hold on this particular item. Now I've filled in all the information that I need. I can come and scroll down here. We can see one item. We can see the order total. If I wanted to send this for approval, I could do so by clicking on this, but I actually want to check out the item. And here we can see the cart checkout. We can see the information once again, just to review before we actually click on confirm. And it tells me my order has been placed. We can view it in order history. We'll look at that later. Now, I don't know, I've just started working with a Rialto, and I don't really believe that an order was actually placed in Alma. I want to check this. What I can do is I can just come here. I can click on order lines. I've got my text here in my search window. All I need to do is just to click on the search button. And now we're in Alma. We're no longer in Rialto. And I can see here, I have an order for this particular title. We can see the purchase order line. We can see the status of the order that it is sent. We can see that it's an item, a physical item, the price, the fund, the vendor is Rialto. And we can see that there are interested users. Let's edit the record just to have a look. Looking at my acquisition record, I can see here that I have content in my interested users tab. I'll click that information and we can see Gareth Roberts wants a hold item placed, or a hold placed on this particular item. So I'm sure you might have questions. I'm going to stop for a minute and ask Scott. Scott, are there any urgent questions or anything urgently that I need to pay attention to?
There's a couple of questions that have come in. Let me go ahead and ask them.
Yes.
First one is, will it also show you if members in your consortia own the item in what format?
At the moment, it is not looking at the holdings of consortial members. This will be something that will be available in the future.
Okay, another question is there a fee to view the reviews?
Feed?
No, is there a fee? Is there a fee
Oh, ah,
to view the reviews?
okay. Thank you. So when I'm looking at Rialto, there is a fee at looking at all the information that I can see when I'm looking at a particular item in the marketplace. However, if I want that information to be displayed in my library, I do need to subscribe to Syndetics. Okay?
Okay. Yep. The next question is.
Yeah. One
Go
last
ahead.
question and then I'm going to go on. Yes.
Sure. Can you browse books by subject instead of title?
Absolutely. And we're going to do that in about 5 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm just going to go on now with my workflow. I'm watching the clock. I'm going to go back to market and I want to search for an electronic item right now. And I'm searching now by an author. So before I search by title, now I'm searching by author. We can see here, actually, these are the options available, but I could put in keywords as a subject just to answer that previous question. I'm searching for this particular author. And here we can see various different options. I want to look at the offers available in this particular option. Now, when I scroll down, we can see something really interesting. We're looking at electronic material. And I can see that actually there's a price differentiation. Now, I might be surprised by this, but I'm sure all my expert librarians listening in that are managing electronic material understand exactly why there's a price differentiation. But let's take a look. Let's have a look at this option that costs $84. Why does it? Because when I look at this little icon, when I look at the tooltip, it tells me you can get this item for $84, but there is one concurrent user license attached to this particular purchase. If I look at the next item, we can see that this little icon tells me that there is a 3-user license, but I need to pay $105 US. And then we have different options here for an unlimited license at a higher price. So as an example, once again, I can click on the title to see more information. We can see the platform, that the license is for 3 users. The item can be downloaded, and this seems to be all the information that that we have. Now, I'm going to choose eBook Central, and reasons why I'm choosing eBook Central is because Alma integrates with a number of vendors for automatic holdings update. So if anything changes in relation to this title, my holdings will automatically be updated. For example, if it's part of a collection. And we have this integration with a number of vendors, and eBook Central just happens to be one of them. So from here, I'm going to click Add to Cart, and we can see that my item has been added to my cart. I'm going to come back here, and I am going to once again process this item once again. To do it manually, in our next workflow, we will be looking at working with templates. And here now we can see the license information. We don't have to choose a location. We only have to choose a fund. And of course, it makes sense that we don't have to choose a location because this is not a physical item. So I'm going to choose my electronic fund. I can see my available balance. Here now, we can see that we actually can define up to 3 different reporting codes. I'm going to just show you that I'm going to choose a reporting code, for an example, electronic book. So if I want to get statistics on all the orders that I have, all the items that are purchased that have reporting code electronic book, I can get that, and it can give me a very good picture of what is happening with my acquisitions. Once again, we have the option to add a note or add an interested user, but I'm not going to go there now. We've seen this already. All I need to do, once again, click on my checkout button, click on my confirm, and my order's been placed. And because I want to check once again in Alma, I'll search for this in Alma, and let me see. Now, I didn't see that by the author. So let us come here and have a look at our order history. And we can see electrochemical methods. So let's look for electrochemical methods. I'm not sure. I didn't see it exactly. Maybe I should have just put in the author's name, not just but whatever. Anyhow, so here we can see the item. It has been sent, and we can see all the details. So now I'm going to move on to another workflow where I'm going to search subject. And let's just imagine in my library, we've decided that we want to expand on our history collection. This is a very, very general term that I'm putting in. I'm sure that if you were actually working with Rialto and sitting here at my desk in front of me, you would put in something more specific. But I think this is just a good example because it gives us so much information that we can look at. First of all, we can see here that we have facets on the left-hand side. We haven't looked at them before. And I'm actually only interested in ebooks. We want to build up our collection of ebooks in the history subject. So I'll just click on that to filter out everything else. I only want to look at results that are ebooks. Let's scroll down and have a look at the other facets that we can see. First of all, I can decide that I want to filter by publisher. Here we can see that Rialto has automatically said, I'm only going to show you results to the platforms that you subscribe to. If you want to see results from other platforms, I can just deactivate that button. We can see that we can search or filter by facet. We can filter by language. We can filter by readership level. I think this is very, very valuable. Country of publication. And being a die-hard librarian at heart, we can filter by LC classification. I really like this. And before any of you say, but we use Dewey, we don't use LC, let's just scroll down and see that we can also filter by Dewey. We can also have a look here and see that we decide that we only want to purchase books for single user or 3 user or unlimited, so we can filter by that option. We can filter by electronic book types. So I might want the digital right management's free. So to make these items really available to all my users, I can filter by that option, or I can filter by interdisciplinary studies. So having looked at all that, let's have a look at a few options. So I'm interested in this Lord Macaulay's History of England. I'll click on View All Offers. And here we can see the various options. And I can click on one, or I can just say, I want to add it to cart. And I will just click to add it to cart. And then I will come back to continue searching, and let's scroll down here. You know, this is really interesting. I wanted to search for a brief history of Russia, and it tells me it's already in my institution. So I don't need to order that. And let's scroll down and order something else. Let's have a look at the offers here for this particular item. And we can see that we have a nice single user license for a very reasonable price. So I'm going to add it to my cart. And we can see every time I do that, we can see it's in my cart. We can see here that it has been added. We can see here that it is in my cart. And while I'm about it, I actually want to add it to my history list. And so it will be added to my list. And here now we can see that. So what I like about this is that when I'm searching in Rialto, Rialto is giving me information all the time that is relevant for me. It's telling me we have an item in your catalog. It's telling me you have this in your cart. You might have put it in your cart, come back the next day, created a new search. You can see that. It's telling me that I have it in my list. Let's go back and let's just add one more item to complete this, just so that we make it a little bit more interesting. Teleology, I think that sounds interesting. So let's order one here, add to cart, and there we are. So now let's go to my cart to manage this bulk order. We have 3 items. I can scroll down and see summary information of each item. Here in the middle panel, on the right-hand side, I can see my selector, and I can say that I want to now choose a library template. So I have various templates. I'm going to choose a template for ebooks. I can choose whether I want to apply this template for all items or for just a particular item. I'm going to say apply to all. We get my message here. And now when I look at this particular item, we can see that it is an applied template. We can see that because I have applied a template, because I can define parameters in a template, default parameters, we can see that it is in the electronic fund. We can see that there is a reporting code listed. And as I look here, each item has exactly that same particular option. And once I have reviewed all my items, I can just go to my checkout and I can do confirm, and my order's been placed. And I now believe that Rialto really is creating the orders. I'm not going to go back to my order lines to check that. But I am going to stop talking, and I'm going to ask Scott if more questions have come in.
Yes, we do have more questions, and let me know if you can hear me well.
Yes.
Perfect. So if they only have selector role, will they be able to see and select fund info?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure about that, Scott. So if you can mark it that when we send the email back with the recording, we're going to answer that question more definitively.
Okay. Next question is: Can you add more than one interested user?
Absolutely. There's no limit to the number of interested users that you can add, and you can add more than one.
Okay. Will the interested users create a pop-up note when item is received?
Yes, it creates a pop-up note, and an email will automatically be, it just depends on the workflow whether you are going to get the notice to the patron will be sent that an item is waiting on the shelf for him. If we also checked that little box where it said notify the patron when the item is received, a notice will be sent to the patron when the item is received. When it gets to the shelf, to the hold shelf in the circulation desk, a hold notice will go to the patron. And if it is an electronic item, the patron will be notified when the item has been activated.
Okay, another question is, will you also be adding an NLM sorting facet?
Another good question for me to get back with you on, NLM. Okay. So I thought Elsie and Dewey were good, but we want more, obviously. Yes.
Okay. We have more questions. You want to take a couple more questions before proceeding?
Let me just complete. I don't have very much left to show you, so let me complete what I wanted to show you. and then we can take questions at the end. So we have been looking how I've searched in my marketplace, but remember we have here the various functions related to other things that I can do, and I want to have a look at these. I'm just going to point out these different options here. I'm not showing them today. This isn't in the areas that we want to cover today. This requires a more detailed, in-depth overview or review of Rialto. But I'd like to show you, for example, how I can manage cart templates. So here we can see that I have various templates. We can see the date that they were created. And if I want to add a template, all I need to just click on Add Template. And just look at what Rialto did. It immediately says you've got a new template. It was created at this date, at this time, and it gives it a name of the date and the time. We can see it was created by Donna. I can create a private template, or I can say that I want to share the template with my institution. Let me just fill in the mandatory field, but I want to say that I want to share my template with my institution. I want to override existing cart values when applying a template, yes or not. I can choose that. We can see default options for quantity, shelving location, item policy, reporting codes. I'm going to choose a fund here. Let's choose something else as an example. And once I've done that, let's give it a name. Template for ordering books in humanities. Okay, and then let's just choose this as well so that we can have general options. And did you see that it was automatically saved? Now, when I come here, it is not yet active, but I can very simply click on that little activate button in order to have it activated. And if we came back and we went and we placed another order and we used a template, I would see that I would have this option of being able to choose this particular template for my order. Very, very simple, very smooth, nicely integrated workflow. Then let's come and have a look at something else. Let's have a look at my order history. So I want to have a look. Been working, I've been ordering all day. I just want to come back and check what I've ordered, or I can come back a week later or whenever. Here, as I look at something, we can see here on the right-hand side more details. We can see the purchase order line. This is hypertext link, so if I just want to go straight from here to my purchase order line, I can do so. We can see that an Alma order was created. We can see all the various options that we've seen previously. And we can see here order placed, order placed, order placed. Somewhere down here, here we are. I've got an item that for some reason I decided that I wanted to get approval before I ordered this particular item. So as we look at the list, I can see the items that that have actually been placed. I can see the items that are waiting for approval. If I'm a selector and I want to look at that information, or an acquisition manager, I can also look at a list of orders waiting for approval. So basically, I'm filtering out the list that I looked at here, which is my particular order history, and I'm looking at general at orders waiting for approval. And then finally, I want to show you the My Lists option. So we can see here that we've got history books that I'm interested in. Let's have a look. Let's edit the list. Here we can see, oh, really? I only have one item in my particular list. I haven't added any other. So we added this I added this a few minutes ago as I was showing you this workflow. But at the moment, it's a private list. And I would actually like to share this with my colleagues because we've made this decision to really build out a robust collection of ebooks on the subject of history. So I can click here So I'm not looking at my holdings information now. I'm looking at my list information. And we can see the history books that I'm interested in, when it was created. And I now want to share my list with colleagues. And I want to share it with my colleague Dave. And here we are, Rialto's bringing me this information from Alma, and I'm choosing Dave, and I want to add another user. Jim is also going to help me with building out this collection, and I'm adding Jim. And now we can see that the color actually even has changed. So when I look at this, even if I didn't notice whether it was a private list or not, just by looking at these different color differentiations, I can see that. And then we can come back here and we can see now that we have books of general interest. Obviously it's for me because it's private, but I have some shared lists as well. So this concludes what I wanted to show you. So now we can take all the questions for the remaining time that we have, Scott.
Okay. First question is, how many vendors are included in Rialto searches? Is there a full list of vendors, and do they need to opt in to participate in Rialto searches?
No, this is something that Rialto is taking care of, and it's an infinite, well, I wouldn't like to say an infinite list of vendors, but let's just click here once again and have a look at history. And let's see that we have here publishers, and we've got 97 more publishers. If I look here at my platforms, let's just see on this particular search result the platforms that we're going to see. So we're not limited in any way. Let's just, I think I have to scroll up here, 12 more. So we can see all the different publishers, all the different platforms that have items of interest. And if I had subscribed to them, I would see them. If I decide that I want to subscribe to a particular platform, based on the fact that I'm seeing so many interesting results on their platform, I can do so.
Okay, another question is, going back to cart, hold on, she just said that question was answered. Next question is, does the Rialto market integrate with purchase request?
It does not integrate with purchase request. I have to come to Rialto to place my my orders. Now, I could have a list of purchase requests that I want to process through Rialto.
Okay, next question is, how does the cost per title compare to Gobi and Baker and Taylor?
I think that is beyond the scope of the session, and we try to, you know, vendor neutral. We're getting the prices from the vendors, and I haven't made any comparison. I haven't looked at it. I haven't seen it. You know, I don't think this is relevant for this session.
Okay. Next question is, after the order is placed, is the bib record added to Alma? If yes, is it brief or in full level cataloging?
Okay, let's see. I think it just depends on the information that is available to Rialto at the time that I place my order. Let's go to my order history, and let's have a look at, let's have a look. Let's search all titles for this blended and the vial. Let's see what bibliographic information we have. This is just an example. Okay, we have this particular title. We have a very brief bibliographic record, but we have workflows where we can enrich this bibliographic record. At the moment, it's just taking the title and the author, but this can be enriched. Next question, Scott.
Yep. Are there different permissions so that only designated staff can process orders in the cart?
It depends. You need to have a role of being an acquisition librarian that can process the orders in the cart. Exactly, yes.
Okay. Can more than one user log in and have access to that cart?
I think it's the cart. If I'm putting items in my cart, it's because I'm putting them in as a user. So you cannot share the cart, but you could put these items in a list. You could put them waiting for approval, and then other users will be able to see that, and there could be a decision about whether they're going to be purchased. So rather than putting them in a cart, put them in a cart and say, send for approval, for example, or look at an item of interest and say, I'm interested in this. What do you think? Should we order it?
Okay. The next question is, can I email an item of interest to someone with a note? And can I create a note on a particular item?
So we saw that we can create a note on an order. When I create, when I click on that create interested user, there is no option for me to create a note as far as I remember. I just designate that this particular user is interested in the item. I should either notify him and or place a hold request for him.
Okay. This is the last question that I have right now, and so afterwards, during the question, if anybody has any questions, please submit them through the Q&A tool. Oh, I just lost it. Hold on for a sec. When something is on order, how does it look on the front end for patrons?
This is an excellent question. Now, if it is in acquisitions, I'm talking about Primo at the moment, you can define, there are parameters where you can define that items that are in acquisitions do not display in Primo. And this is a library decision because you might say, I don't want my patrons to ask me every day, when is this item arriving? When are you going to receive it? When are you going to process it? So only when it is available will I expose this item in Primo. Other libraries might say, no, I don't want patrons coming to me every day and saying, why don't you order this book? We really need it. So I want to display this information in Primo so that they know we have ordered this particular item. It hasn't yet arrived. So this is a matter of configuration and decision by the library of what they will see in Primo.
Okay. Next question is, can you export these carts and in what format? Our purchasing requirements won't allow materials to be purchased through a system like this.
Far I know, there is no option for exporting from the cart.
Okay. We don't have any other questions at the moment. I did post in the chat a survey that we would appreciate you taking once this session is over. It's a brief survey with, I think, 3 or 4 questions. Should only take you a couple of minutes, and we really appreciate your responses. In the meantime, Barbara, if you want to make some concluding remarks, that would be fantastic at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. And we've kept to our time, which is not something we've always managed to do, so this has been great. Thank you for your attention. Thank you as always for your interest and your questions. We will send a recording, an email with a recording in the next days. We will answer questions that we didn't answer during the session. And I'd like to remind you that our next session is managing digital deposits in Alma. And this is going to be on the 3rd of February. So I hope you'll join me for that. We'll be looking not only at digital deposits, but a little more generally at managing digital workflows in Alma. So the only thing I have to say is goodbye and thank you very much for attending.